This right here is the new Vivo T3, and this is an important phone because this has the same chipset as the Nothing Phone 2A. It even scores higher in terms of benchmarks and it costs less. So what's going on? How is this happening? What's the compromise? And you know what? These T-series phones from Vivo, they are popular, like series popular. I mean, I checked on Flipkart and its predecessor, the Vivo T2, has like 1 lakh ratings. 1 lakh rating. It's absolutely crazy. So I thought, let's just see what the new Vivo T3 is all about. And after testing this phone, there's something that I really like about this phone, absolutely. And then there are things that make me go all Uday Bhai mode. So let's talk about what I like first. The performance is obviously the best thing about this phone. This has the MediaTek Dimensity 7200, LPDDR4X RAM, UFS 2.2 storage. Now the 7200 is a great choice under 20k. It beats the likes of 7030 and 7S Gen 2, and like I said at the start, this even scores higher than the Nothing Phone 2A. There are also no throttling issues in the phone. Even the stability in 3D Mark is top notch. And while it does get a little hot when running benchmarks, as you can see, but nothing to freak out about. And I've been playing multiple games on this, and even after like 30 minutes of gameplay, the temperature is fairly under control and the performance in these games is also good. This easily handles asphalt, BGMI is also good, and as for Genshin, which is super intensive, the performance is not very good at max graphics settings, but it's decent in the medium settings, definitely playable. Another thing in the I really like section is the cameras. One camera. I mean, it looks like 3, but it's practically just one camera. The main camera here is a 50 megapixel Sony IMX882 sensor, while the other 2 rings include a 2 megapixel depth sensor and a new flicker sensor, which I'll get to. So it's mostly all about the IMX882, and in terms of photos, this is really good under 20k. The photos are sharp, have good details, HDR is fairly good too, and what surprised me is the color tone in the photos, which is very natural while bringing in the rich colors while not being oversaturated, you know what I mean? And I know a lot of under 20k phones struggle in low light, but this is actually solid in terms of overall exposure, sharpness, almost every single time. Now I could nitpick a few things here and there, but I won't because I generally found the camera here very consistent, especially for this price segment. The portrait mode though, not so much, but it's not bad, I'd say decent. In terms of videos, this shoots 4K and this has stability mode turned on by default, which crops a bit, but it mostly takes good videos with the same natural tone. But with recording while walking, there is this OIS stutter. Also, I'm putting the selfie camera in the what I like section, but I'm mostly okay with it because even though it takes good enough selfies almost most of the time, it's kind of average indoors or in dim light. As for the new flicker sensor, I know what you're thinking. It's a gimmick. Now, I'm not sure how useful this is going to be, but I'm just glad that it actually works. So it's supposed to remove flicker when shooting a screen or the flicker from the lights, and I did see this making a difference. It basically monitors the flicker and adjusts the exposure in real time to fix it, and yeah, it works. The next thing in what I like is this design. I'm not talking about the looks, that's obviously subjective, and this design is called Crystal Flake, which has this pattern that changes depending on what side you are looking at it from and depending on the light falling on it. And if you have some interest in illusions, there is a camera bump, but there isn't. Hey. Now the people I showed this phone to seem to be split to 2 sides in terms of this design. Kinda unique. Too flashy. Looks apart, the back of the frame is matte plastic except for the camera module, which has a glossy surface. And I like this design because even though this is not a compact phone in terms of footprint with a 6.67 inch display, this is fairly sleek at 7.95 millimeters and the weight is also under 200 grams. I also like this display. It's an FHD AMOLED screen with a 120Hz refresh rate and has nice colors. It's sharp and it's smooth to use, and this even has HDR support. Videos look good on the display, the colors are punchy, and the brightness is also pretty decent. Not the brightest display I've ever seen, but good enough for outdoor use. Now this has an in-display fingerprint scanner, which is good enough and responsive. There's a dual SIM slot, and that brings me to a very special request I have for smartphone makers. Please don't put the SIM ejector hole and the mic side by side because some people get confused, use the SIM ejector tool and put it in the mic. Not me, some people. Anyway, this has an IP54 rating for minor splashes. This has stereo speakers which are pretty loud and fairly good quality wise. Now this does not have a headphone jack or a micro SD slot, but we're talking about things I like, right? So I like the fact that this has a transparent case in the box, and this gets this 44-watt charger in the box as well, which by the way charges the phone from 10 to 61% in just 30 minutes and gets a full charge in about 1 hour 15 minutes. I also like the battery performance. The 5000 mAh battery easily lasted me for a day with medium to heavy usage, and that's good. I also like that this comes with FunTouch OS 14 based on Android 14, which is the latest software, so this is good, and this is promised to get 2 OS updates along with 3 years of security patches, which I think is good enough for this price segment. But what's not good enough, Okay, time to talk about what I don't like. Okay, so FunTouchOS is feature-packed, we all know that, and that's great, and everything here works very well. I haven't found any bugs, everything runs smoothly, but there's one thing that really gets on my nerves. Time for a quick rant. From the moment you start setting up this phone to when you actually start using it for the very first time, you are hit with service recommendations, prompts like these, a lot of notifications, tons of notifications, bloatware apps, hot games, and this just gets me. It's not hot!
Cool, I broke his brain.
Now, if you are into tech, you can obviously solve this problem. It's not a biggie and it gets better, but the problem is it just spoils the experience right at the start, and that's not very good. I'm also not a big fan of Vivo not including an ultra-wide-angle camera in this phone. I mean, the T2 did not have it, the T3 does not have it. I get it. Some compromises have to be made, but for a 20K phone in 2024 to not have an ultra-wide-angle camera is not cool. I also think that the design could have been more premium, maybe with a curved display, maybe with more symmetrical bezels. Yeah, it does not have symmetrical bezels. Maybe with a glass back. You know, every single thing counts. Look, all said and done, the new Vivo T3 under 20,000 rupees is actually a good smartphone. Yes, it's not perfect, but if you want good performance, really good performance under 20,000, this is a solid option. And it's not just about the performance. This has a good rear camera, a really nice display, the latest Android version, good battery life with a fast charger in the box. And yes, if you want an ultra-wide-angle camera or a more premium design or a clean software experience, you should look at other options. Anyway, I really hope you found this video useful, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon so that we get to 100K really quickly and you don't miss out on any of the cool, fun, silly tech videos from Sillycorns. Thanks for watching.